Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonya, certified life coach, RN, self-love advocate, and host of Let the Lady Speak podcast. Here on my channel and my podcast, we have healthy discussions about life, love, dating, and relationships while promoting self-love, healing, and healthy dating. Here on my YouTube channel, I offer perspective, give insight, dating advice, or life advice regarding hot topics and or reality TV shows. Here tonight, we are talking about the incident at the Oscars with Will Smith and Chris Rock. I am going to be talking from a mental health perspective, just so you guys know. And we're going to get started. But first and foremost, if you are a new subscriber to my channel, welcome to my channel and thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate you greatly. If you are just passing through, thank you so much for passing by. Good to see you. If you like the content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up the video, and leave a comment below. If you are coming back, welcome back, family. So good to see you. I miss you so much and I hope you are well and safe. So let's get into tonight's topic. First, I want to say this. While everybody is human and people make mistakes, I don't condone violence. I don't condone violence and I don't condone abuse. And that's across the board. That is all forms of violence and abuse. I don't condone it. I do leave space and understanding for the fact that people are human beings, people make mistakes, and people fall short. I want to talk about Will Smith because I think people feel like this was just about Jada, but this wasn't just about Jada. This is about Will, and people are saying that Jada has this magical power over Will that's willing him to do these things. When all honesty, my personal belief, my beliefs are based off of what they've said, what they've talked about and discussed, and my experiences is that this is Will's struggle with his own internal self. This has to do with Will's ego. This has to do with Will's pride. This has to deal with Will's trauma. These things are Will's and Will's alone, right? Just as Jada has her own. I've talked about them before, and I talked about how I feel like Jada has a lot of healing to do, in my opinion, and there's a lot of work to be done. But today we're talking about Will. And I want to talk about this because people really underestimate the power of unhealed trauma. And I talked about this. If you watch me for Married at First Sight, I have a video about rage. Check that video out where I'm talking a little bit there about it as well. How when you don't deal with things in a healthy manner or ignore them altogether, they will manifest themselves. I often tell people that I work with, if you don't deal with your mess will deal with you. It's better for you to deal with it versus it dealing with you, because it can manifest whenever it feels like, at the most inopportune times, in the worst ways. And this is an example of not dealing with certain issues and how they may manifest. Now, I'm not making excuses for anyone. I'm offering perspective, and this is my perspective. Just to give a little backstory, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars because Chris Rock made a G.I. Jane joke about Jada Smith, basically because she's bald. Jada's bald due to a disease, I should say, called alopecia. Alopecia is a autoimmune disease, same as lupus and psoriasis. Basically, the body attacks itself, and in that attack, things can happen, such as hair loss for alopecia. For lupus, inflamed lungs, inflamed kidneys. We know of Toni Braxton. Actually, Toni Braxton and Nick Cannon almost died due to it. Toni Braxton had a heart attack and Nick Cannon had blood clots for those reasons. Kim Kardashian has psoriasis. Psoriasis is also an autoimmune disease, okay? So although a lot of people are kind of brushing this off as it's a light issue, she's just bald, an autoimmune disease is serious. And no, it's not fatal for some. It is for others. It's still a person dealing with a disease or diagnosis that they have. And I don't feel like it's fair to have a lack of empathy or understanding for someone who has lost essentially their crown. Chris Rock did a show many years ago, a movie where he was talking about hair. He knows how in our community, especially, hair is such a big deal. For Jada, she's been very open about her struggles with losing her hair. Now, back in the day, she used to wear really short hair. And then she started, once her and Will got together, she grew her hair out. And she was known for having this long, beautiful hair. And she lost it seemingly in like a blink of an eye. It's like all of a sudden she was cutting her hair because she was losing it. There are videos with Will like really trying to boost her self-esteem because she's cutting her hair. The bottom line is, when you have a change that you can't control, that's challenging for everyone. So I really hate that people are disregarding her feelings and feel like that shouldn't be such a big deal, right? We all know comedians make jokes and things like that. I personally feel like that joke was unnecessary. I didn't see the reason for wanting to do it right then. Also, there's a little history there because Chris Rock made a joke back in 2016 about Jada not attending the Oscars. Jada boycotted the Oscars because that was the year that everyone was complaining about how there wasn't a lot of diversity and inclusion, and black actors were not being acknowledged in the Oscars. And so she boycotted and she discussed that matter. Well, he made a comment that basically she's on a TV show. She wouldn't even be at the Oscars anyway. She's not invited. So basically, what's her concern? Problem with that is she was talking about diversity. She wasn't just talking about herself as a person. She was talking about us as a community. And then also her husband is an actor, one of the most famous Hollywood actors. And I think she feels like he has been slighted as well. So I don't know why he felt like her voice would not matter. But he made it known that her voice shouldn't matter. And then went on to talk about diversity and inclusion being needed at the Oscars. Now, I don't have a side. I'm not picking a side. Again, I'm giving perspective. So I don't agree with what Will did because I don't agree with violence. I wish he had handled things differently. I really do. I wish he had pulled Chris to the side, or if he had just said something to Chris like, don't make fun of a woman losing her crown or something like that. Something just a little lighter to let him know, it's not okay. But I really do think he went too far. However, you can't dictate to anybody how they react. That's one thing about this world today, it's society today that I've noticed. People do things, but people want to control how you react. You can't control how someone reacts. Now, this issue, I believe that Will is having has been a simmering pot for a long time. Okay. Chris unfortunately received the slap that Will has been wanting to give to a lot of people almost his entire life. So, backstory. If you didn't know, Will Smith's father was abusive. Will Smith recently wrote a book. I have not read the book yet. However, I did watch his documentary that he did on his channel back in November, where he was losing weight and writing the book at the same time. This process actually became a breakthrough process for him. This is the moment where he really truly acknowledged the fact that the person that we know as Will Smith is a person that he feels like he created as armor to protect himself, because he felt like he needed to protect his mom and his siblings and himself from his father's rage. So in essence, it's a trauma response. Will's persona is a trauma response. Will felt like that if he made his dad laugh, that his dad wouldn't be his mother. I've talked about this before. There are 4 trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fawn is when you befriend your abuser. You make things lighter. You make them comfortable. And that's what Will did. He created a comedian so that he could deal with the abuse. What he said, though, is that what we don't understand is that Will Smith himself views himself as a coward. He views himself as someone who could not defend his mother, right? He watched his mother get hit so hard. She fell on the floor. Blood was coming out of her mouth. And he said there was nothing he could do as the oldest son. He has carried that burden all of these years up until recently. He had never told his mother until writing his memoir how he felt like a coward that he could not protect his mother. So the slap that Chris got is for his father. It is for all the people that made fun of him coming up through the industry. People used to talk so bad about Will. People used to call him weak and corny. Even Jada has made that statement about him. Weak and corny and things like this because he wasn't a gangster rapper, which during his career, that gangster rap became very popular. But Will Smith didn't cuss, and he was more of a good time guy. You know, he still made great music. Summertime is still one of my favorite songs, but he just wasn't like everyone else, right? So that was that. And he talked about his mom and his dad, and broken families were becoming more and more commonplace because of the crack era. It was just a lot going on, but he received a lot of flack for that. Also, a couple years ago, the Alcina incident came out, and the whole entanglement came out, and you know, Jada has been talking openly. He and Jada, I should say, have been talking openly about the issues that they've had in their relationships. Now, what I find sad, though, just a side note, is that people don't take lessons from their relationships, in the sense that these are people who really truly are trying to work through their situations for better or for worse, whether we agree with it or not, whether we like it or not. Like, they are trying the best way they know how, and they're sharing that. People take it as you're stupid, you're a simp, you're weak, and your vulnerability is basically trash, and I'm going to use it against you. And that's something that he's dealing with. So he's been getting called names. He's had trolls. People are talking about, you know, he's not a man. Jada has all of this control, which, sidebar, I don't think that Jada has the control that people think she has, but I'll talk about that a little later. Anyway, the bottom line is, Will has been enduring being picked and prodded at all this time. I think he felt like I couldn't defend my mother. I couldn't defend my siblings. I couldn't defend myself. I couldn't defend my wife. People are just constantly coming at me. And I think they just recently did an interview where someone brought up the entanglement thing. You know, it's like, if I share a part of my life with you guys, although once you share, what people do with it is what they do with it, you don't want a constant reminder of your pain and suffering, and you definitely don't want to be disrespected for it. And to me, you know, everybody throws around the word narcissist, but it's so funny. A lot of people don't understand how much narcissistic behavior they themselves display. One of the big cardinal signs of narcissism is a lack of empathy. They were not shown any empathy during the time that they talked about their issues with infidelity, or lack thereof, according to them. I think they were trying to say, we had an agreement, it went left, you know, whatever the case may be. This is their marriage, and this is what they're working towards and working on. Anyway, there's been a lack of empathy. There's been a lot of abuse. There's been a lot of trolling. And I think Will is just tired. I think he just gets to his boiling point. I also think Will is in the beginning stages of true self-discovery. I think over the years, yes, he's meditated and he's done all of these other things to kind of manage his lifestyle, but managing your lifestyle is very different from managing yourself and who you are as a person, and really going in, finding that inner child and healing that inner child and discovering who you really are as a person. He's created this person, Will Smith. Is that really him? Is he really a coward? Like, really, what can a 10-year-old boy do if his father is abusing his mother? And he's a militant man who's an alcoholic, who was very emotionally abusive towards his children. Like, what really could he have done? I don't think he's really come to terms with that. And my hope and prayer is that he starts working on those things. And I know people are going to say, well, Will Smith initially laughed when Chris Rock made the joke, so why did he respond that way? That is part of the fun, because the person that he's created, that's what he does. He laughs things off. He pretends as though they didn't happen. He acts as though they're okay and no harm is done. I think when he looked over at Jada and Jada wasn't okay with it is when he finally said, I'm gonna try to step up and I'm gonna defend my woman. I just think he went too far. I just think it wasn't the place or space to do that. I think he should have handled it differently for sure. But again, all of that anger, frustration, that came from a place of past hurt. You have to deal with your past, or your past will deal with you. You have to deal with your trauma, or your trauma will deal with you. I don't care how many closets, boxes, basements, attics you try to put stuff away in. Eventually, the house is going to be full. And then you either have to make a decision to walk out of the house or clean the house up, right? People don't want to feel the pain of the past, but they don't realize that you are feeling the pain of the past. And it's just manifesting in different ways. I really, really feel bad for him. Now, there's this conversation that Jada is controlling Will. I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think this is about Jada controlling Will. I think this is a struggle with Will's own internal identity. I think this is ego and pride versus Will and his inner child. I feel like that is the outcome. I've already talked about Jada in the last Jada and Will video where I feel like she needs to heal. But the bottom line is Will still has a lot of healing too. And yes, we know Will for being a motivational speaker. In a lot of cases, he's always very positive and upbeat. Again, Will has said a lot of that is a facade. A lot of that is him being who and what he knows people will like and love. He doesn't know really who he is yet. And I hope and pray that he goes on a self-discovery tour where he really, really acknowledges who he is and accepts that person and loves that person. And like I said, heal that inner child, because that will make all of the difference. That would allow him to control his emotions. You know, the thing is like he took the scalp off, so now the wound is open, and if anybody touches it, it'll start bleeding again, and it's going to hurt 10 times more than it used to hurt, because now you have trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. This has been decades of pain and hurt and rejection and bullying and trolling, and you know, he's just dealt with a lot over the years. So I wish them both well. No, I don't believe Jada has some magical spell over him. I feel like he's in prison by himself, and part of the reason why I think he won't let that relationship go is because he doesn't want to fail at anything again. It isn't because Jada has mind control over him. And vice versa. I think Jada stays because a lot of who Jada Pinkett Smith is wrapped up in Willsmith. They've created this dynamic together, you know. Before Willsmith, Jada was like, yeah, we all knew her in our community and she did the movies that we watch, but she wasn't part of like this big global brand that Willsmith brought on, you know. And I think those two, a lot of that, it's just a lot. They have children, they have businesses, they have a lot together. It isn't black and white. Marriage and relationships isn't just black and white. And these two may really be people who have decided no matter what, we're going to stick together. That is what they've said. And if that's what they said, then that's what they're doing. The bottom line is people's actions have a reactions. And although your intent may not be to really hurt someone, you don't really know how you may be hurting someone. Treat people how you want to be treated. Bottom line, don't put out anything you don't want to get back, and don't put out anything you don't want a reaction from. You may get a reaction. You may not intend to, but you may get a reaction, and you can't control how a person responds to you. You only can control how you respond to people. I really, really, again, I wish everybody the best of luck. I will say Chris handled that situation really well. I'm not sure that anybody else would have handled it like that. And that's another thing. When you react, it could lead to something else. That reaction could have turned out to be something extremely violent. It could have ended very badly, and it could have been the demise of either one of those men as we know them. So I don't like violence. I hate violence, and I hope and pray that everybody gets the healing. I hope Chris is okay. I hope Jada is okay. I hope Will is okay. And I just wish everybody love, light, and healing. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because people underestimate what trauma can do. You never know where a person is mentally. You never know what a person's triggers are. Just be mindful at how you treat people, And as an individual, you have to really get control of yourself. You have to know how to manage your emotions, your anger, and your triggers. That is very important, because at the end of the day, you only can control yourself. You can't stop people from saying or doing anything, right? Now, I will say, I'm pretty sure people will think twice about making comments about Will and Jada moving forward. And if they do, they're going to do it with the intention of hoping that he acts out, which that makes me sad as well. We very rarely see Will act out of character. I think the last time was when that one guy tried to kiss him and he smacked the guy. It's just like, respect the individual's boundaries, And that's another thing. Respect the person's boundary. Respect the person's human space and place, and feelings. Care about the other human being. That's important. But I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts. Again, I'm wishing them all the best. Healing, love, and light. Please let me know your comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. But please don't forget to love yourself for who you are. Hugs and kisses. Take care. Bye-bye.